Hello and welcome back to SamaKaze. It's good to see you here. It's good to be here. I wanted to give a bit of a showcase to something that I just discovered this last week, and that is a new piece of software that for a lot of us will allow us to have a better sounding microphone than maybe we've ever had before. And that is the brand new, totally free Elgato Wavelink 3 software, because now we're able to get this without even needing the hardware that normally is required. So I'm going to go ahead and go through exactly how this works, but I'm first going to show you what I was working with before this software came about. So you've been listening to my current setup that I've finally fine-tuned, but I'm going to let you hear the original microphone and then what I had up until just a couple of days ago. So this is the FDUC SL40 USB and XLR microphone. It's a dynamic microphone with a pretty decent set of specs for about $40-50 depending on where you get it. And this is just pure microphone, nothing really done to it except for a bit of a gain filter so that it could be brought up out of the basement as far as the volume levels, and it's still peaking a bit, so that's that's about where this is going to be. But that's the microphone without any filters on it at all. And then this is what I've been using up until a couple of days ago. Oh, and that is actually quite a bit louder than it needs to be. Hold on, I will put a limiter on there. There we go. Now, whatever volume I have it set to, it will stay there. But this is a setup that I started using with the SteelSeries Sonar suite of software that allows you to basically do almost as good as Elgato's own software. I say almost because it's honestly not even close, but I want to give it some props. It's carried me through a lot, but you can tell that this actually has a lot of issues with its particular just the way that it is, and it does have that harder edge to it, especially with the louder tones. And then of course this here is my current mix. This is a combination of several different things that I'll get into as soon as I start sharing my screen and show you the plugins. So I'm going to go ahead and move my OBS window out of the way and switch over to a screen cap, and we'll take a look at this. And this right here is my current Wavelink setup with a few plugins and a few different things. So you'll see I have 5 different outputs, and these outputs actually register as microphone inputs on OBS. So if you've ever wanted to do this and can't figure out how to add your chat mix or whatever to OBS, you look under the audio input capture, not the audio output capture. I was having a bit of trouble with that myself. I'm like, it's output, right? No, it's input. So, but anyway, I have several different apps that are isolated from each other and have separate audio inputs and everything into my Wavelink software here. But first I want to go over my Line 3 USB audio codec. That's my M-Audio M-Track Solo USB audio interface that I've got. And so in here, right here is the magic. So first, you have quite a few built-in VST plugins that you get just with the base software. You've got the Elgato compressor, Elgato noise removal, Elgato de-esser, Elgato EQ. And those are all the built-in Elgato plugins you get. But if you notice, I've got several audio plugins from Melda Productions, one audio plugin from Polyverse Music, and one from Slate Digital. So you can actually go in here, you can go into the settings, actually, I'll show you that a second. You can go into the settings, you can go here to this effects tab, and it'll show you the VST3 folder that you need in order to install all of your VST3 plugins. And it also uses VST2s, so if you got some of them, that's fine too. But VST3s, there are many more of these that you can find out in the wild, even just for free. All the plugins that I have on my microphone right now are all free to download and free to use. So I'm going to go through each one of them. So I've got a compressor. I've actually got a couple of different compressors, actually. I've got one from Elgato that's just being used as the normal compressor type deal. But then I've got 2 M compressors. One is a voice emphasis setting that I have, and then the other is de-essing. So I could use Elgato's de-esser, but honestly, I like the way that the M compressor handles it better. And instead of the Elgato EQ, I actually have the Melda equalizer set up with a voice preset here. And that kind of helps with a lot of the major areas of my workflow with this anyway. Then we have a spectral pan plugin, which just kind of shows exactly where everything's at. I can use different fills, different spectral analysis, stuff like that, to really get a picture of what my setup is looking like and where the heat maps are. You see these little blobs here. That's the heat maps of where the sound is actually getting through on what frequencies and stuff. So that's nice. I've got a stereoscope, which I'm probably going to replace this with a couple of TDR Nova's plugins that do about the same thing, but in a more visual style. But yeah, this is really just a purely mono signal at the moment. And that's where I get into kind of using fresh air. Now this plugin, I love this plugin. This adds a, I turned it off. This is how the microphone normally sounds. When I turn this on, it adds this sparkle, this crisp edge to the sound that I just love. And I really like having it on here. And then finally, wider. This just adds a sound stage. If you've ever watched something like Dank Pods or whatever, you'll hear a lot about how big the sound feels. That's the sound stage. And so if I turn this off, you'll hear that it's just a mono sound. But then when I turn the wider back on, it really fills the space in between your ears. It feels like it's wrapping around you, and I really like that. So that's really my entire setup with this whole thing, is just having a few plugins. And then of course I can even use plugins on like my YouTube Music desktop app for my stream music, where I've got a compressor so that way the volume is kind of level across the board, and maybe even EQ to where it brightens it up a little bit for stream and stuff. And I can even do that with, like, if I'm watching videos on my browser in YouTube or whatever and doing reactions, I could do I could throw a compressor on here and make sure people can hear the sound right. I can do a whole lot of things, honestly. And even my games, I can add individual games and control what audio goes where and how loud it is in each output. And so I really think this is the future for a lot of streaming capabilities, because of how well it does the job of actually giving you exactly what you need, when you need it, where you need it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little showcase of my new software setup, and I hope you look forward to more from me. I'm going to be doing more long videos. I want to do sometime in the new year, probably towards the end of the next month, because I'm still working on doing a setup, but I want to do a setup tour where I can show you guys how my desk looks and stuff. That's going to be awesome. Anyway, guys, I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a great day. God bless, and have a good evening.